It's fine. It'll work out though.
Yeah,
right.
foreskin thing.
Let's go, boys.
Thing?
Right.
Yeah, how I found the foreskin.
The foreskin thing.
Hold on. Yeah. All right. Ready.
The foreskin thing.
Yeah, okay.
JC, you really want to do this? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Do your intro, buddy. Do
Yeah,
the intro.
I'll just do the intro, and then you guys can go talk
pumped
about
for this.
foreskin for like 10 minutes, and I'll just sit. Okay. Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pekin Hole.
The Pekin Holes.
Your whole podcast.
Yo. That's not the pod. That's.
All right.
That's awesome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Peakton High School podcast. This is your host, JT, and today I'm joined once again by my lovely two co-hosts, Luke and Andrew. We're back here for another week, surprisingly bringing you another epic episode of Shenanigans. You guys want to take it away?
That's not the fucking name of the podcast, idiot.
What
We're
do
not
you mean?
Shenanigans. We're Peakton High School.
Peaked in high school, my guy.
Get off your high horse, okay?
I said we're
can't
back
just
for
choose all
another
these
week of
things by yourself.
Shenanigans.
Yeah, but that's not the name of the show.
I said the name of the show.
I'm pissed. All right, gentlemen. What's in the news today?
What's in the news today?
Anyways,
What's in the news today, boys?
I got something to talk about news-wise, actually.
All right. Welcome.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
So,
the stand is yours.
like, all right. Now, I'm not trying to start anything, but, like, so I write world news articles for the school newspaper and everything. I'm the world news editor, kind of a big deal.
Sure.
And we have to write about this Brexit thing, right? Of course, because it's in the news. It's big news.
Right.
We've had to write like 20 articles on it, and now that there's just another big weekend, and nothing's happened, and it's like, wow, I have to write a 20-second article about the same thing. Like, I don't know what else to say. They got together, they shouted a bit, and they said no, and then we're I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like just putting like Brexit still happening, sorta.
Wow.
It's just so
what an interesting
frustrating.
topic. I feel like that whole thing is so overblown. It's like not the subject itself, maybe the subject itself, but kind of like everybody likes to talk about it every week. Like, what's gonna happen next? And it's like, nothing's going on at all right now.
Yeah.
So what's the difference?
I
It's so
agree,
weird.
yeah. And it's
Dog,
like,
you know what's
yeah.
in the same vein. Do you know what's even more infuriating?
What?
Now keep an open mind. Matrix 4 has been.
I didn't think you would take that path.
No, Matrix number 4 is greenlit by the
Really?
Wachowskis. Yeah. And
Is Keanu
all the main
coming
cast
back?
are coming back. Yeah,
Yes.
Keanu's coming
It's
back.
tight.
The girl who played Trinity's coming back. Listen, I think it's tight, but I'm about to screen share something, and I just need you guys to keep an open mind. Okay?
Okay.
So, here's what really should happen.
Okay. All right.
We need a Speed Racer sequel, is what we need.
I hate you so much. I knew.
Listen,
that's exactly
if the
where you
Wachowskis
were
are going to go back to anything they want, anything they could possibly go back to, they need to go. Oh, I didn't even turn on screen share. Wow, that really stops the entire entire
great
impact of
momentum
this whole
shift,
thing.
Chief.
Oh shit.
Oh,
yeah, here's the
God.
article. Forget Matrix 4. We need a Speed Racer sequel, and that's all I need right now.
What is it? An AV Club article?
This is from, what is it called? 10? I can't remember. This is from 10.medium.com. I've never heard of this place in my
okay,
entire
so it's
life.
Just a medium.
But Google
okay,
recommended it to me, and I was like, yeah, Google recommended it to me, and I was like, yeah.
I like how the guy has the
Duh.
Faulkner, the Big Boss Coffee logo too. Nice.
That's funny.
I mean,
What do you guys think? What do you guys think about, like, listen, I think sequels to old movies are fucking great. Like, Blade Runner 2049 is awesome. And I don't know, Tron Legacy I really like. But
Right.
I just feel like Matrix, they got 1 out of 3. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, 1 out of 3 of
One's
those
good.
movies is good. Why are you making a 4th one? That's like making Shrek 5.
Well, hey,
You know?
hey now. Hey now.
Well, yeah, hold on.
I
hold on.
think I think when you look at like Matrix 4, it's like, you know, it's what Hollywood's doing today. It's just another cash grab at nostalgia and trying to bring it back into the works to try to capture that magic again. But when you try to bring in Shrek 5 to that conversation, I think it's just a totally different ballpark because, you know,
exactly.
Why?
Shrek
Why?
almost could be thought of as a religion. And
I mean, yeah.
you can't. I mean,
can I talk about how much I hate these fucking memes about Shrek? Can I talk about how much I hate these?
No, let me say something real quick. Hold on. No.
Oh, okay.
Would you deny the
Go
world
ahead.
a second space odyssey? I mean, that's like
Well,
that's what you do when you
Space
deny
Odyssey
another
2?
Shrek.
What do they call it? Space Odyssey 2002?
Yeah, maybe.
Would
I
they
don't
do
know.
that shit? 2002, a space tudity?
Listen, I'm not Stanley
That's what they
Kubrick's
call it.
ghost.
And it
Okay,
would ruin
what am I supposed to do about it? God,
I'm pissed. Why? I just think it's dumb. I just think it's a dumb idea. Matrix 4 is
That's
like, you got
okay.
one right. Why are you making a bunch more? Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
to
I
me.
mean, Keanu's a hot topic right now. So anything
Yeah,
that
he's
has
I guess.
Keanu in it, you just got to bring
Dude,
it
that
back.
poor man, he walks around every day and people are like, oh, it's the nicest man on the planet. And he's like, would you just let me sit in my own self-pity and depression? And just let me work through it myself. You know what I'm saying?
well, no,
So
I think
sad.
he's kind of coming back. I think that's part of his thing is he's like coming back with positivity. But I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. I agree. I agree. I think we should like leave him alone. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I just
But
feel
then
like there's so
again,
much
he is in
pressure to put on
Cyberpunk.
one man.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
He's
so
not
much
leaving
pressure
me
to put on
alone.
one man.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Cyberpunk is about to take up another 4 months of my life, and it's
Oh my
just not
God.
gonna be good.
I can't believe I bought a PS4 for that. I'm literally.
I can totally believe
I
that.
cannot, but no,
Can
no.
only
I've
believe
never
that.
bought anything for pleasure. From why? Well, okay. Well,
For
back- I haven't
Yikes.
bought. That's not what I meant. I haven't like gone to the store and purchased something for myself, like as a treat or like as a gift to myself, you know, from my own bank account. Like that's over $50. I just haven't ever done that. And then
Yeah.
when I decided to buy a PS4 for $400 on eBay, I was like, oh my god. It's like, what did I do? But then I realized that I got it and I was like, I'll play this
Right.
at a point in time.
No,
At some point in time.
I totally get that. That's how I feel with honestly anything I buy at any moment. It's just like
Really,
I
yeah?
bought I'm
Dude.
thinking about buying a new video game and I'm like, it's $14. But I could feed myself. You know what I mean? It's kind of I don't know. It's tough. It's also tough when you eat like
Dude,
6
it's like
squares
exactly.
meal a day.
It's
Square-
exactly.
yeah.
It's exactly how the people who are put in the Soviet gulags thought. It's like, man,
I don't
I
think
could have
that's
this
true
cool
at
shit from the
all.
black market, or I could feed myself.
Boys, I love the thing you're talking about, but this podcast is about to change for the worse.
What do you mean?
And what I mean by that is we are recording on 7th of September, and
Yeah.
approximately two minutes ago, the worst possible scenario could have just happened. According to Adam Schefter, Antonio Brown is signing a 1-year deal with the New England Patriots.
Oh no.
What?
I think it's
No
time
way. We
for-
just talked about this like an hour
I know
ago.
we did. We were talking about it before the podcast. We were like,
Oh
dude,
my
I mean, can you say I called it, Luke? I did say.
I can't
I
believe
did say that the
you
worst-
said exactly
the worst
that. You said
scenario
if the Patriots sign him, we're
happening.
screwed. Fuck.
Um,
Dude, the Bears just lost the perfect chance to get a good fucking team. Oh my god.
Well, I mean, the Bears could have
Andrew,
used
do you-
him for sure.
how much do you
I
follow?
mean, look at the
I know.
offense that they had.
I'm a Bengals fan.
Look at the
unfortunately,
last
so,
game that they
like,
played.
Everything
Yeah, I know.
sucks, dude.
And you know what's going to even happen tomorrow night. I guarantee you, Antonio is flying to New England right now, and he will play against the
my
Pittsburgh
God.
Steelers tomorrow night,
Yeah, that'd be tight.
and that will be huge.
That would be sick.
Can you imagine living your life that way? Like being an independent contractor but not have to worry about like not having to worry about whether you'd get hired. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like independent contractor is one of the most stressful jobs in the entire world, type of jobs that you could ever have, because you're relying upon your own marketability. But when you're this kid who's literally like bomb, like the best in the entire field, you don't got to worry about picking up a job. You know what I mean? Like, this kid just got dropped, 3 hours ago?
Mm-hmm.
How long did he get dropped?
He was released this morning from the Raiders.
This morning.
Well, I mean, Antonio
And he
Brown,
gets signed in
like
maybe
you said,
6
is a
hours.
special case because he's so good. But, like,
True.
I think that's even a thing with players that aren't amazing. I mean, like, isn't Colin Kaepernick, like, he's getting picked up at the Colts, right? And he's not really marketable.
Is he really?
Yeah, I
think that was a joke.
Oh, was it?
I think that was a joke I sent to you on Twitter.
Was
it was
it
a total.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, honestly,
Yeah, he hasn't been
football.
signed for a team in like 2.5 years.
Okay.
Really, yeah.
The thing about it
for like
that's
2.5
so
years.
weird though is that he just went from a like 3-year, like 30 million guaranteed payday to what they're saying right now. He is signed on to a 1-year deal worth up to just 15 million that has a 9 million signing bonus. So that's it's 1/3 of what he was going to make, and that's because of his character and how he acts.
Mm-hmm.
No, hold on.
That isn't
Hold on. You've got you said
deal.
30 million. You said
He was guaranteed 30 million. I think the full contract was 3 years for about, I think it was like, I don't know the actual thing. I don't know the actual terms, but he was guaranteed 30.
Okay. And then with the Patriots, he's 1 year for 15.
It's a 1-year deal worth up to 15 million, but he's guaranteed 9 in a signing bonus. So he's guaranteed at least 9, but can make up to 15 million throughout the year.
Oh, okay.
That, like, if you think about it, back to your kind of analogy of, like, they're essentially independent contractors, but who don't have to worry.
Yeah,
You're right, because, like,
yeah.
even, I mean, like, really, like, still, I think my Colin Kaepernick example exists because he's still pretty wealthy. He's still's got jobs. And, like, even though Antonio Brown lost some money because of his actions, he's still a great player, and he's one of a couple hundred people that could, you know what I mean, do it.
He's a great player, but he's just a total head case.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like there's there's going to be a player strike too, like there was in the 80s or whatever, where Suge Knight started playing for like the Raiders.
Suge Knight?
Yeah,
What?
he was a former
Suge
linebacker.
Knight played for the Raiders?
So during the players strike, I don't think it was the Raiders, but during the players strike, he got picked up on free agency from to be a linebacker because they yeah. Isn't that really cool?
I can't imagine.
I
had no idea. I had no idea that he was.
I mean, look at the guy. He
was on a football team at all.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
I was listening to the last podcast on the left of the murders of Biggie and Tupac, and they brought that up.
Oh yeah. How many people do you think have made a podcast specifically about that?
About
Tupac? Have you ever thought about
podcast?
this is my
people
worry. Well, this is my worry about starting a podcast. Is like, no matter how much I think my own opinion is interesting on something, like 15 other people recorded the same exact opinion 2 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy to think about?
Yeah, I agree with you. And also, like, but I think also in the same vein, like, you can't worry about it. Like, I think Ira Glass has a really good, by the way, I get half my personality, as you guys know, is podcasts. But like Ira Glass puts it, he's like, I don't care. I only care that like my voice is out there and that like I'm being heard or like, you know, in the present. He's like, because the future, like I'm gonna be dead, and like the people who I don't care what the future thinks about me because screw those people, they're alive, and I'm not. So like I kind of adhere to that, you know.
It's kind of neat.
That makes sense.
It's kind of neat. No, I like that. Oh shit.
Just before we get off the whole thing on Antonio Brown and stuff, Andrew, back to your point, another deal that was signed today was the Falcons' Julio Jones. Just signed a 3-year, $66 million extension. Which of that 64 of it is guaranteed right now.
And the thing
so
is,
he just signed. He signed
64
away
million
for
is
5
guaranteed.
more years. 64 of the 66 million is guaranteed, which is bringing it towards that level of contract, you know, with like where NBA is right now, where like all of it's guaranteed basically. Yeah. And so when you're talking about that, we're just going so far away from like where like strikes were and stuff like that. Because like with the NHL, we're not there yet. And coming up either this year or next year, there might be another lockout with the NHL because of the collective bargaining agreement, and with
you know what's crazy is I think that these contracts, these permanent or these guaranteed contracts for payment is so wrong. I think the way that we choose to pay these players guaranteed is such a bad idea. Because I think it's something to have a yearly contract, right? But it's another thing to have a 3-year or a 5-year contract worth $30 to $50 million. Because players, like, on a yearly basis, if not a monthly basis, get injured and have the possibility of having to drop, you know, the game completely. Right, and yeah. I mean, I don't know the legal logistics of you know, writing somebody out of a contract based upon injury. If there's got to be a stipulation somewhere in there about, you know, injury. You're not guaranteed so and so forth amount of proportional pay based upon what distance in your contract you had made. You know what I mean? Right. But like, I just can't. I don't know. I think of it from the standpoint of like an artist, where like, you know, people who do opera and ballet, they get yearly contracts or seasonal contracts even for a show, right, that they put on within 3 weeks. Yeah, and they get paid for that. And they and even singers, like, it's such a, like, I hate to say it, but singing is such a hot commodity now that, like, if you want to stand out, so many people, it's so common practice to go out and do pay to sings, where people go to like recitals and stuff like that big cities put on and big corporations put on, and they pay to put their voice out to sing for the possibility of being noticed. It's crazy. And I think that, like, the fact that we sign these kids, the fact that they sign these people who are like undoubtedly talented, right, in the sport, in the game. Yeah. It's like, how can you guarantee that they're going to play like that for 5 years? I just think it's not smart in terms of business.
That's why it's so difficult. It's getting so difficult.
That's crazy. Well, also for the fact that, I mean, everybody's juicing. So, like, I mean, come on. Like, there's no... We've reached a peak in terms of, like... in terms of the human form. I don't think... Like, the game can't get any more exciting unless people juice. I don't know.
I don't know. You look at someone like Zion Williams, which everyone touts as, like... as, like, the new breakout, like, superstar, like, the next LeBron, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
the other thing too is, like, you know, if you think about, like, the origins even of any sport, like, it kind of starts with maybe one ethnicity or like one group of people. So like football began with like only the Ivy League schools, and like Ivy League people are very different from, like, that's a small percentage of people. And then when they open it up to the Native American schools, which is how, like, football really started getting developed, like, there was a total different physicality because the Native American people on average are smaller, but they're, like, faster because, I don't know, because they're lighter or their navels are lower or whatever. But, like, just on average, they would be faster because they're lighter people. So it, like, changed the whole game, and they started running, like, West Coast offense, essentially. And it's the same as with basketball. Like, I think LeBron is physically so much different from anybody like Michael Jordan and Larry Bird, and Michael Jordan is also physically different from, like, an Oscar Robinson, or it is. So I think, like, eventually it's going to turn into like, we are going to, like, get stronger as people, but yeah, I do assume there's a lot of juicing.
Sure.
Yeah,
I can't, like, my dad was talking to me last night about I can't remember the man of the Brewers. I think his name's Bauer or something like that. Bauer, I can't remember. He's going up to bat for the Brewers, and everybody was booing him. And I was like, man, they must really hate this player in Wrigley. And he's like, nah, they don't just hate him in Wrigley. They boo him everywhere. Because he's one of the last few, like, players who juiced, who was found to be juicing, right, and is still playing in the MLB. Wow. And I don't know, man. I just feel like it's so much more common than we think it is. Maybe not in the MLB, but I think especially in the NFL, I think it's super common, and we just don't see it. or they just.
I think
don't
another
talk about
thing.
It, you know what I mean?
I think another thing, like with like these big contracts, is you have to look at like this Antonio Brown sort of side here, and you just have to like they gave him $30 million, and he's just a total head case, which is like you have to deal with that. Like, but
that's
by
a
giving
liability,
these people,
is what it is.
by giving these people like this guaranteed money, you have like there are means for like these players to be like, oh, I'm guaranteed this money. So like what Antonio Brown did this season, he's like, I'm just gonna slack off. I'm not gonna really care. And you pay so much for this guy to help your team, and then he just utterly just like leaves you worse off than you were before. I mean, they didn't lose any money in it, but they lost so much just wasted time and talent.
Yeah.
To where the point is now you have to look at your season in a whole different light. Like the Raiders were gonna maybe vie for a playoff spot and finally have a good offense, and now you're back to this stage where they're gonna be a basement dweller team. I mean, this one player, I mean, with his talent is so good, but the character just. And that is
it's
also
not
to the
representative
credit
of the team whatsoever.
John Gruden and the GM, because they have to help that. But I mean, just even with the Steelers, he is a basket case, which is kind of funny because this morning I saw the Hall of Fame wide receiver Terrell Owens posted on social media. He was like, you all thought I was crazy. Look at this guy. And I thought that was really funny because he didn't get into the Hall of Fame just based on like what he did off the field. So like if Antonio Brown goes on to win like 2 or 3 Super Bowls and just like has amazing seasons, are we going to see that again? Is he? We have that. Antonio Brown is from now on is going to be a problem every year. No matter what, and it's just because of his ego, and it's because he is talented, and he knows he's talented, and he's just going to be like, all right, I'm gonna do whatever I want, you know.
Yeah. No, it's the same thing as. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, it's okay. And I mean, I think it's also mind blowing to think it's $4 million guaranteed. You said. Like that was
for Julio Jones. That's basically the high. He's now one of the highest paid, if not the highest. I'm not sure. There's Odell Beckham's contract is up there. There are some others that are up there, but I think that's the most guaranteed money out of any wide receiver.
Wow.
I mean, also
Thursday, Zeke Elliott of the Cowboys signed a 5-year, $90 million contract. I think 60 of it was guaranteed. Or no, 50 or 60 of it was guaranteed.
And the thing is,
I mean, yeah. So these players are they're.
I just paid $800 to get my car fixed the other day, and I paid in cash because the guy was going to give me a discount if I paid in cash. And I looked at him and I said,
tight. That's not what a drug dealer
it was
does.
Great. No, but it's because he gets to he doesn't have to pay a transition fee or whatever I can't really call it. For a card or whatever.
It's why Mandem wouldn't let me use my credit card at 7-Eleven. Hate that stuff.
But But I told him, I said, I've never held this much cash in my entire life, like in my hands. I've had money in the bank, but I've never held this much cash. And he was like, well, you're not holding it for long. And just mentioning like these guys' salaries, I'm like,
I know.
That's crazy. I can't imagine making that much money. What do you do with it?
It's because of the industry. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
It's all because I mean, sports are one of the biggest industries in all, and they should be paid. They should be paid according so.
I agree.
Know?
Yeah, no, dude, I understand. I agree. Dude, if you get like the amount of draw that you get for sports, like the amount of money that they get into the system because of the enjoyment that people have from it. If you want to pay your players proportionally, I think that's 100% fair. I think that's 100% fair. Do I think
that's what's happening with
weird? Do I think it's silly and weird that people play games that I played in my backyard as a kid, but they play them really well, so they get paid millions and millions of dollars? Yeah, it's silly, but it's like it's not unfair. You know what I mean? But I just cannot imagine what you do with that amount of money. Like I can't think what to put it into it. I can't think what you.
Well,
put
a lot
into
of I mean, but. For those players, it's not a problem. But I mean, there always are people who in the NFL, like you look at like one of the most prominent running backs of this past decade, Adrian Peterson. I mean, he was one of the great. He's one of the great running backs. I mean, for a bunch of years with the Minnesota Vikings, and he still has to play because he's almost broke. He is dead. I mean, these people still face
for sure.
The same problems as us, just on like a whole different scale. And it's whatever you do with your money. He's
oh yeah,
still has to
what
play.
Did he
He's
blow
on the
it
Redskins. I don't know, but I mean, if you don't have like the right financial advisor, or you just don't really know what to do. I mean, a lot of these people are like this. This is their first time, like, because when you come into the league in most sports leagues, I mean, you're young, you're like 21, 22.
Yeah, you're literally
sometimes a little older, and you I mean, a lot of these people still don't. They spend a lot of their money, like on the front end,
Right.
Yeah.
And aren't thinking about the future because they think they're going to play so long. But as Adrian Peterson, he dealt with some injuries and stuff like that, and he's still playing paycheck to paycheck,
Yeah. And I think it's just so...
Which is kind of crazy to think about.
And it's so bizarre, too, because, like, the NFL is just one slice of sports. Like, I mean, I'm a big soccer guy, and I just, like, quickly Googled 50 most expensive soccer players. The top one is still Neymar Jr., but he's worth $198 million. And that's not even his, like, yearly salary plus bonuses plus, because, like, you have, like, a game... I think it kind of depends on your contract, but you can get paid like bonuses for scoring goals or assists or like clean sheets or whatever.
Really?
Yep.
So, yeah.
Wow.
In
that sense, I guess it's based on performance, right?
Right. Yeah, and he's like a phenomenal. I'm not saying he's not worth it, but like that's a lot of money.
No, sure.
Like, could you?
It's a shit ton of money.
Like that's so crazy to me, and like in one instance of this guy's life, you could say his life value was $198 million. And it's like, but in no instance in my life will I ever have $198 million. Like, even if like the best thing happens to me, I probably will only have like couple $100,000. You know what I mean? So it's like it is bizarre, no, exactly. And it's like, and the thing is the liabilities are just as present in soccer too. Like, Ronaldo just got acquitted of this, but he was accused of a rape, and it's like that's pretty scandalous. But he's still like his transfer to Juventus was still like $100 and something million. Like, it's just nuts. Jeez. Man. I can't handle it.
They transferred him, yeah?
They transferred him from Madrid.
It's like when Patrick Kane on the Chicago Blackhawks got accused of was it Kane? I think it was Kane, yeah.
It was Kane. Yeah, it was Kane. I remember because the 14-15 Stanley Cup. That's the main insult I used.
yeah. But I think he got proven innocent or something, or like
there was evidence tampering or something, which is sketchy. Yeah. Which like I guess doesn't say necessarily like innocence or not, because I guess it's almost more of a mistrial than it is a verdict.
I see it more as like evidence to suggest that because it was tampered with, that they were trying to prove something that wasn't there. Agree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I kind of do agree actually, because it at least infers that. It doesn't necessarily, it doesn't state it, but yeah, I agree. Or at least the evidence is not strong enough to suggest.
Sure.
I mean, it is a lot like the OJ thing in a sense. Like the trial was so poorly handled. It always comes back to OJ with me. But like the trials always was so poorly handled that there's no way to like conclusively say like, yeah, he did it. Like, there's some things that suggest he did it, which, depending on how you view them, says he did it or not. I mean, I personally think the evidence is there. But, you Fair can't, enough. Like, when someone messes up that bad, you can't just be like, all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
I guess.
Yeah, Luke, one more before we move on to some other topics. One to just blow your mind as well. MLB also does guaranteed money. And what they also do is they don't have a salary cap either. So, a lot of these sports don't either have a salary cap or not. And if they don't, they do this thing called luxury tax, which is if you go over the luxury tax, then the Major League Baseball taxes you and gives it to some of the other different teams which aren't in as big of markets. So, like the LA and the Yankees are always the two biggest, but another team, so they give them, basically what I'm trying to say is they give them basically as much money as they want, and it's all guaranteed. And so Mike Trout of the Angels signed I believe it's something double digits years. I think it was 10 or 11 year deal, for $420 million guaranteed.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Also, those types
Okay,
of
we got to
contracts
get off
are-
money because I'm.
Yeah.
We-
I know.
We
I
gotta get
just
off
want to
money.
say
I think we're in the wrong
freaking-
business
Yeah,
is what I'm
dude.
trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say
All
soccer
of
doesn't have a
us.
salary cap, and it's incredible. Like it's kind of why it's tight, but it's also why it's awful because like none of these small teams will ever get money. Like there's no way. Like there's no way Derby County. And where the heck is Derby County? There's no way Derby County is gonna get as much money as a London team or like really anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's
we
what
were
baseball
talking
tries to
about-
do with like luxury tax. You know,
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
That's
We
why
were
we're
talking-
so good
they
this year.
give the tax to the other market, the smaller market teams, so that they have something to work with. And it kind of keeps it fair, but at the same time, if you're in a bigger market, you're obviously going to bring in more money, and you just can do whatever you want. So that's why the Yankees and the Dodgers are always in the conversation because they have enough money to spend. Now, my team, the New York Mets, should spend, but I'm not going to get into that because they are in a big market. But
METS, Mets.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, so we were talking about here. I'll do it again. We were talking about famous people and scandals and stuff like that, and
scandals.
Now this is a little, it's a little off the cuff or whatever. It's cross-related, but this thing that I'm screen sharing right now is a wager agreement that I made with one of my friends from Miami, and it says that. Oh yeah, I wrote this contract.
How many pages?
I wrote this whole contract. It's one page. It's a whole contract. We signed it on April the 20th, 2019. There's a little weed thing going here.
Weed emoji next to April.
Next to 2019.
I love it.
Basically, what it was we were arguing about when Kanye West was going to release Yandi, right? And I thought he was going to release it on Easter when he did his Coachella concert on the mountain, right, or whatever, Sunday service on the mountain. I thought he was going to release it. The bitch did. Anyways, yeah, it was called Sunday service on the mountain.
Okay, but
because they built, I know they built a dumbass hill. But anyways, so this whole thing stipulates basically. I wrote this huge contract, like this real contract. It basically stipulates that if he didn't release it that day, then I would have to pay him the money that was equivalent to the album purchase, or I would have to buy him a physical copy of the album, right? And then vice versa. Obviously, I fucking lost. But now, still screen sharing. Yeah. I've got just a little hunch that I can swing this my way. Because Kanye West Kim Kardashian just put out a tweet like a couple days ago. I sent this to the group chat, right?
Oh, I saw this.
So this is the album. This is the track list, right? September 27th. Apparently, they're releasing this new album, right? It's his 9th studio album. But it's not called Yandi. It's called Jesus is King. So in my mind, the contract now is still still valid.
That's garbage.
But I don't have to pay. I don't have to pay up because it's not Yandi.
If I did it, if
I
it
don't
wasn't
know.
real
That's what
money,
the contract
I would be
says.
ticked.
Really? No, this is real. Like, we
Wow.
signed this contract together, right? We put a paper and pen down. But the
God.
issue now, I feel bad because, like, the contract says,
my
the
God.
9th studio album, Yandi, which is what it was called.
Okay,
And
you're
now
making
it's a
yourself the
different
victim
name.
in this. You're like, I
don't
feel
think-
bad. You're not. No, you don't.
This is all on recording
know.
now.
I wanna get
think
this
I think
out
we
there
have we have grounds to prove you wrong.
No, listen. It's not Yandi, though. And the contract specifically states, I'll screen share it again.
God.
The contract specifically states the 9th studio album, Yandi.
Yeah, it is.
The release
Oh
of
my
Yandi.
God.
Kanye West Yandi. It's September 28th. Here, the participant
I
shall
hate
pay the
this. I
challenger
know.
a sum of money equivalent to the retail cost of one copy of Kanye West's Yandi if the album is released on April 21st, 2019. The challenger shall pay the participant a sum of money equivalent to the retail cost of one copy of Kanye West's Yandi if the album is not released on April 21st, 2019. Now, here's the issue. The album Yandi will probably never release.
Well, there was a leak.
So technically speaking, there was a leak, but it hasn't been released. And if it's a leak, then I don't
think
owe
you
him
could
any money
argue
because it was
that's
free.
a leak.
right?
That's a release. I don't know, man.
Okay, so if it's a release, it's a leak, right? And how much did people pay for it when it leaked?
I don't know.
Nothing. It's a leak. They didn't pay anything.
guess
so either I owe him no money because Yandi released with nothing, or I don't owe him anything until Yandi Yandi is released.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
If it's
what
right,
would you
if
guys
there's a
say?
leak,
What would you
then
guys say?
It doesn't matter. That's smart.
Right, exactly.
That's smart.
That's why I'm not counting that.
Man, you
To
should
give him the
really take
benefit
that
of the
LSAT,
doubt
actually.
If they change the album title. Yeah, really?
Luke. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to law school now.
I've been thinking about it for a while.
You made a. The reason I know that is because I'm still trying to get over the fact
yeah. Hold on.
contract
Yeah.
about
Seriously.
when
had a
an
lot of fun.
album
I really-
is going
I
to
had a
come
lot of
out.
fun.
You know what? Take that LSAT. Just remember me when you're making the big bucks like the football players. Okay.
Just remember this podcast.
I just thought that was funny.
This man is making
So now-
contracts over albums
wasn't
that cost
probably
like
Well, we're
$8.
talking about
that good of an
Scandal.
album.
My God.
We're talking about. I told you this was a transition into Scandal,
Okay.
right? Like this is not light stuff,
yeah,
right?
okay.
This is
But
not
if you're
light
also
stuff.
wondering why.
I hate this.
Dude, it's $8.
If
That
you're
is
also
not
wondering
light.
why when I screen shared the opening, I just realized when I screen shared, I opened my Google Chrome and it changed to this. Which is, if you can't see, obviously it's an audio podcast. It's a bunch of pictures of
Thanks
the
for telling
Soviet
them that they
flag with
can't
the Assassin's
see.
Creed logo.
You should walk up to blind people and be like,
It's
hey,
be-
you know you're blind?
Hey, you know you can't see this shit.
Hey,
but,
buddy, you know you
right in front of you. No, I was gonna talk about like my idea for this new Assassin's Creed game.
Oh, is there going to be the
that I thought would
Soviet
be pretty
Assassin's
cool.
Creed game?
Well, here's the deal: is there's already like one of those Assassin's Creed
Yeah, I've
Chronicles
read it.
games, which is one of those side-scroller games where they're like, oh, people really want these games to come out, so we'll just make little shitty spin-offs and call it a day. So there's already one in the USSR. But I was like, what if there was an Assassin's Creed game set in the Soviet Union, and you play as an assassin as part of the Soviet Union, right, working for the communist government, right? And the Templars are in the gulags. Right? And so there's like a little twist where like you're not told that you're an assassin. You are assuming you're a Templar. But then when you find out that the Templars are in the gulags, you realize that even though your ideology is, confirmed in your mind, now as a player you have to wrestle with the fact that you're not actually a good guy. You know what I mean? Or you're the bad guy who's actually the good guy.
Well, you could.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Or you could do. So like I don't know if you've seen the movie Death of Stalin, but like it's a comedy, but like there's that vying for position after someone leaves, like, and there was a lot of, and I know this is true also in Vietnam and in China as well, but like the Politburo would always fight with each other, and I think it'd be interesting if it was like ruled by assassins, but it was like different assassin ideologies. So like, because like if you played like Assassin's Creed Rogue,
like in the first game,
the assassins are the bad guys. Kind of.
yeah.
So
That's
like
right.
like in the
That's
first
right.
game, like with the real monk guy. Yeah, I just think that'd be tight.
Well, it's the assassins, and then Altair is like the outsider.
Yeah.
JT, have you ever played any Assassin's Creed games?
I played Brotherhood,
the
Revelation, and 3.
Yeah,
Those are the
two
And
of
I
those
do
three are the
have
best
Black
ones.
Flag, but I never played it. So.
Oh, that's the best one to play. Oh my god,
Should I play it?
Black Flag is so much fun. The story blows, but it's so
sat on
much
my
fun.
Xbox for like 2-3 years now, and I just haven't played it. So, I do have some Ubisoft store credit to use, so I'm thinking about getting like Origins or something.
Taking this online class right now for my one of my courses. I have to do an online class, and my teacher decides that we use one of those services, those educational services for grading and like assignments, where like a teacher can post like an announcement or whatever to tell the class something, and
like
it'll go like
Canvas
as a
or whatever.
notification on your phone. Instead, one of those. Instead of typing announcements, she vlogs them.
Yo,
I'm
that's
not
sick.
kidding. She's like this. No, but it's kind of charming, but it's really quite funny because she's like this 50-something-year-old lady, and she like vertical video vlogs, video logs, I guess, all of her announcements, and she's like walking between her office and like obviously walking from the restroom or something. So like she's just like whips out her phone whenever she thinks it's like convenient, and you're like, oh, this is bad.
That's hilarious.
It's like kind of really cute, but it's also like just really awkward. That's
wild.
She'll start the video sideways, like horizontally, just because her arm happens to be that way when she clicks start, and so she turns the video, but the camera doesn't turn with her. So it's a sideways video with her holding it vertically, and I have to like turn my head sideways to watch the video. Oh, it's so funny. Just you said media teacher, and I was
God
like, I know
bless her.
somebody who's into media. I don't know. I think it's hilarious. That's all.
That's all.
Also, I just used a friend of mine's name to reserve the study room for 2 more hours because apparently you can't reserve study rooms for more than 2 hours a day.
Oh, really? That's dumb.
BS.
Well, it's better than
It's fucking
me
dumb.
having to call the cops to get the booth.
Do we want to do we want to go on to make a case now?
All right, so this is the section of the podcast we like to call Make a Case, where you take a form of media or something that you see is widely really enjoyed or widely highly criticized, and you bring it to, and one of us brings it to the other two and tries to make a case for the opposite opinion. So today we have Andrew making a case, and
Hi.
he says he's got music for us today. Is that right?
Yeah, I like how you introduced it like your, what's his name? Howard Stern. That was pretty tight. Yeah, so.
Well, I got the arm for my mic and everything, so.
Yeah, so I'm going to
Go ahead. Go
pop
ahead.
on my screen sharing real quick. All right, so what I'm going to talk about today is punk music, all right? So this is going to make everybody mad in the world because everyone hates everybody, and we're never going to be nice to each other. So, like, how do you guys define, like, punk music? How do you define that? Let me just open that up as a question.
Gee, I don't know. I'd probably say that like there's a lot of, there's a stereotype around punk music for like kids with spiky hair and tattoos and lots of like harsh sounds and stuff like that. Pretty punk rock. I guess I just used the fucking term in the definition, but yeah, I guess I don't know, something like rebellious teens or something like that. Spiky hair.
I would think of the video of with all the kids in their like
underneath
goth
the overpass.
outfits underneath the
Underneath
bridge,
the
just going
overpass, that's the best.
ham.
I love that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
That shit, yeah, the
Yeah,
neo-goth,
I think I mean
Sure.
I don't know if
Love
that's I
it.
don't listen to a lot of punk, but like when you say the word punk, now I may have like a swayed like view of punk,
That's
but
funny.
that's what I think of
I don't
when I
think
think of
that's
punk.
that's what I wouldn't call that.
I
punk
know, but,
music.
like, that's
I would
the best
call
I can
Avril
think of.
Lavigne punk music. That's a joke. I'm fully kidding. But like, so
Okay.
so because I'm a nerd, I looked up the actual definition of it, and the Cambridge Dictionary says it's a culture popular among young people, especially in the 70s.
Sure.
Blah blah blah, involving opposition to authority, operative term there, and shocking behavior, clothes, blah 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 blah. So like, in my opinion, the operative word is authority, because if you look at the definition of metal, it's essentially the same thing: related styles, powerful, driven, aggressive music, blah blah blah. But there's no like opposition to authority. So I was thinking about this, and I was listening to like Disgraceland, the podcast about Gigi Allen. That guy is gross. He poops a lot. He poops a lot.
He like
on
actually
stages.
poops on stage.
I wish I was kidding.
Wait, really?
He's disgusting. But yeah, he would use a dookie on stage and throw it. Yeah, rub it all over himself.
Oh my god. That's really sad because like one of my favorite what I consider punk albums is Dookie by Green Day, and that's a very different
Yeah,
idea
no,
of that
it's
now.
different. No.
Sorry, go ahead.
He's a little bit different. He's a little bit more, dare I say, edgy.
Interesting.
He was actually so edgy
Edgy.
that Kurt Cobain and the lead singer of the Flaming Lips met Gigi Allen in prison, and they're like, "We really like your music, and you really inspire us." And he's like, "You guys both suck," and then he just didn't talk to them, and he said he was gonna go jerk off or something. Anyways,
That's funny.
so like,
That's hilarious.
The opposition to authority is really what gets me thinking. And there's a lot of these like major dudes in punk music, like Fear and Gigi Allen and Darby Crash and all these people that like they make cool music, and I'm not trying to say they don't, because like if you like just like whatever you like or whatever, but they're not really like got the ethos of that kind of punk thing, because they kind of reinforce authoritarian stereotypes. This is getting kind of heady. I'm sorry. But yeah, because
No, that
like,
makes sense. That makes sense. It's like they can't be punk if they're for the man.
yeah, exactly. So like what I'm mainly talking about, and this is in the
Okay.
70s and 80s and the 60s, even, is like abusing women and LGBTQ people, because like, and also dookying all over the floor. I don't like that. And using like heroin needles. It's pretty nuts.
It's
But
pretty
like
offensive.
back in those times, like women weren't treated pretty well, and gay people certainly weren't treated well either. I mean, you have the AIDS crisis, and like there's all that stuff, and like a lot of what those, like especially Gigi Allen would like beat women openly on stage. Fear would do the same thing. Fear would
Jesus.
call people, the F word. It's pretty messed up stuff, and
Yeah,
like
that
that's
sucks.
yeah, and that's not really anti-authoritarian if it's pro-man. And just to like spit some facts real quick about like what I mean is like, well, in the cult, like it's kind of based on media culture and like legal statuses. So this is just after the Stonewall riots.
Okay.
This is like amid or before the AIDS
Right.
epidemic, which was not a great time to be gay or be honestly sexually active in general.
Yeah.
And you have in 1970s until like 73, a lot of times women couldn't get credit cards in their own names. They couldn't go to doctors. The OBGYNs weren't like around. Insurance was more expensive for being a woman up until 2010. It's pretty like, so it's not really, and not to mention a big one for me was like spousal rape wasn't that wasn't like criminalized until like the 90s, which is pretty messed up.
Oh my
and it's
God.
like, if you're like, that's not like anti the man to be like, let me beat up this woman or put a cigarette out on her or call people bad names because
It's just being a douche.
douchebag. Like, yeah. And so I mean, and the thing is, like, I compare that to like the Dead Kennedys, right, who would write songs like about war crimes in Cambodia, or like the hypocrisy of a student wanting to follow a communist dream but also being like ignorant to the fact that like the Khmer Rouge were killing people. So like I mean, I'm not asking everyone to be like that, but like if you're gonna be anti-authoritarian, like be anti-authoritarian. What's cool is there's an anti-authoritarian song,
Right.
You know what I mean? Like look at Idols, where like Idols is anti-authoritarian because they write songs about being happy sometimes, but in a punk mood. So they're like, I love my friends.
Sure.
And screaming and stuff, because it like disassociates from the aggressiveness. Yeah, that album, it's like one of my favorite albums right now, is Joy as an Act of Rebellion. It's really cool. But yeah, that's just what I think. I don't know. And like, I'm gonna get so much hate for it, but like, fight me. Also, like, if you think the dude who like openly dookied on people and like like, I don't know. If you want to defend him, like, go ahead, but you're not on solid ground, Chief. Like, I'm just gonna come out and say it.
Interesting.
But yeah.
And this band is,
band's
how do you pronounce them?
Gigi Allen.
Is it Gigi Allen specifically, or?
Well, like mainly him, but then there's
or is it
Fear,
like the band that he's part of
like
too?
the band Fear,
Oh, interesting.
and stuff like that.
Yeah. So even though like, so your case here is that even though like a band can look, the part of a punk rock band or whatever a stereotype of a punk rock band would be, or not even a stereotype, but like the archetype of a punk rock band,
Or
right?
the musical
Doesn't mean
stylings,
that
at
they
least.
necessarily fit.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they necessarily fit what a punk rock band is.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
interesting.
And I think
It's interesting.
also too, like,
'Cause-
Gigi Allen. So his real name was Jesus Christ Allen, but they just shortened it to Gigi. Yeah, that's a true fact.
Really?
And he saw himself as like an
Oh my gosh.
antichrist of music, and it's like that's not very anti-authoritarian
so weird.
to exist within
It's not very
Judeo-Christian
cash
norms.
money.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's my 2 cents.
JC, what were you saying?
I said that's not very cash money.
It's not very cash money.
That's all I had
yeah.
to say.
When I think of punk rock bands, I don't know why, like, but I think of Paramore, if only because, like, I don't see their music as being like anti-establishment or anti-man. Like a lot of their anti-the man or whatever. Like a lot of their music is written by I'm gonna get railed if I'm wrong about this. I'm gonna fact check myself right now. I think a lot of the music is written by the lead singer Hayley Williams. And she, like, not all of it, but a lot of their music is about like her relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
which is so weird to think about, because when you think about like girls writing songs about relationships, you think about Taylor Swift, and you think about people complaining and like just saying, well, fuck you anyway, you dumb man, bitch, or some bullshit like that. And it's just like weepy and not very, it's mostly it's not good music. You know what I mean? But Paramore, in my opinion, is like, I think they're one of the top bands of the 2000s. And I just think it has to do with her writing. And the fact that like her songwriting and the narrative that she can write is so similar to pop music that like in terms of narrative and in terms of theming, right, about relationships, but the fact that it's it's the punk rock style of music, which they've strayed a little bit from that in their new album. They've gone a little bit more pop now, which kind of fits the tone of their lyrics, which kind of screws it up. But I just think that like the fact that they can have that punk rock sound and not have that traditional, Green Day type lyricism and songwriting narrative, like only emphasizes like the musical not importance, but like, impressive nature of their music. Maybe they're not punk rock, maybe they're not punk per se in terms of like a personality, but I think that's an interesting idea, is that the image of punk rock can aid in portraying so many different types of narratives or so many different types of songwriting. You know what I mean?
And also like music,
so what
as music gets newer and newer and like we get more exposure to all sorts of different types of music with the internet, you're seeing the same thing with rap too. Like you're seeing different influences on punk rock. So like there's definitely like a country influence, I think, on punk rock, just like how there's like a metal influence on rap. So like I see it too.
Oh, true. True. Well, who would you say is the archetype or the like the avatar of punk bands? That fits the ideology and the imagery and the music style. Who would you say is like your number one?
Probably like the Dead Kennedys. I think that's the easiest one. And I know I'm probably, I mean, I'm not like the.
Who is it? Who is it? Sorry,
Kennedys.
You cut out for a second.
And I'm not gonna sit here and say I'm like the biggest punk fan in the world. Like I like punk music. but
like, it's your case, man.
But yeah, like I think that, and it's not necessarily that like a music can be lobbed into like the punk style, I guess, without. It's just like I think the ethos is important.
No, but it's
to a point. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting subject.
Like there's a difference between protest music and folk music of the '60s, but they're very similar.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. But it's an interesting case that you're making, that like I don't know, cuz like so many people think of punk rock, and when they hear that term, if they're not about it already, like turn it off immediately. You know what I mean?
True.
And like the idea that like maybe it is those other bands that take that sound and just use it to push like weird shit, like shitting on the stage, that really turns people off from it. You know what I mean? I think that's an interesting way to put it. Especially, I think, in the term of the name of the Dead Kennedys. Right. Like, I mean, come on. That name is just punk in and of itself.
It's like, sick. It's like,
that's cool as shit.
And also, too, like, I mean, I think the Dead Kennedys in particular are kind of they're a special case because they really were such an interesting, politically minded band, but they weren't in the sense of like, so they weren't on like one side or another. It was more like commentary and satire on culture. I agree. And I think I'm not trying to say like this is the direct definition, because like I would still say like G.G. Allin and Fear are like punk bands because they are in the thing. I just don't think they have the same ethos, the same spirit. And I think the same thing kind of goes with like any kind of music. Like I think it's kind of dumb. I think it's the same thing with like comedy too. Like I think it's kind of dumb to be like, oh, this ain't your mom's comedy, and like say something like, I just think we need to stop trusting politicians, and it's like you're just like feigning edginess. You know what I mean? Like you're really just using a style or a delivery to just say something that people believe. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference between saying like there's a difference between saying something like, man, I just really love milk in general, right? I don't know why I'm thinking milk. Like plain milk, and you're like, oh,
sure.
some people might get it, but if you're screaming, man, I love milk, you're only going to be attracting the hardcore milk lovers. But your love of milk might just be very casual. You'll have it with cookies and like maybe a nice Pop-Tart.
Interesting. That's such an odd
analogy, I was reaching
it.
for that one. All right.
Nah, it's all right.
That's okay.
JT, do you listen to punk music at all? Or what you would consider punk music?
I mean, not really. I've always been like, I can like respect it. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This is like a question that I would bring up more than like if I watch it. Like, Andrew, do you think like punk music is still like really prevalent today? Like, what do you think are like some like punk bands like like out there like right now?
Oh, well, I mean,
that you think?
Yeah, I think
like how has it changed and stuff like that?
Oh, that's interesting because that can be different.
Right.
Because like the case that you've made says that it could be in a different musical style. You know what I mean? Or like a musical sound, unless that's like part of the punk part that you're trying to put together.
Right. Well, I think there's a difference between the musical sound of punk and like the attitude of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, like when you say that's punk, like if somebody says something like, that's a little punky or whatever. I don't even know how to describe it outside of the
Right,
word.
exactly. Like it's a little edgy. It's a little bit more crisp and a little harder, a little bit more.
So it's like 3 a.m. at Denny's.
It's like 3 a.m. at Denny's. Well, that's like the music, like, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah,
being punk isn't going to Denny's. Being punk is like, I don't know, never going to Denny's because they don't pay their workers enough money, and it's like because they're abusing the law. Yeah, I don't know. Like, and maybe this is too much of a virtuous kind of, or maybe a too much of a nice way of putting it. But like, I think in modern punk is a lot more different because I would say rock in general is more female led nowadays because you have bands like Saint Vincent and like Japanese Breakfast and the Regrets and like
Hop Along. Who else?
I mean, Paramore.
I just heard these guys. The Bomb Pops.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, Paramore. They're still big.
Tiger's Jaw.
The Bomb Pops.
But yeah, like there's still.
Yeah, I think.
Punk bands, yeah.
Because I would call Vampire Weekend kind of punk. Like they're not super like not all of their songs are like, fuck you government or whatever. Like kind of Green Day was for a bit or whatever. Even Green Day only had a couple songs that were like strictly political. Yeah. But like, I still think Vampire Weekend has that persona of punk. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is sort of an anti-establishment persona with Vampire Weekend because they have that.
Especially with Diane Young.
Yeah, like Diane Young or even Oxford Combo, where he's like, "Why are we caring about the how legitimate our knowledge is as long as we have the knowledge to do something about it?" Like, yeah, no, I agree, and I think it's true. Like, I think punk has to have some sort of critical lens to it, but I think that's part of it. I think there has to be some sort of critique, a little bit of a crispness to it. Even if I think it's yourself in a sense, because like I mean, like I would say like a band like Tiger's Jaw or even Car Seat Headrest to a point is pretty punk, but I think it's because it's sort of outsider in some sense, and it can be, but it's also being self-critical about the the modern condition and existing in the modern condition, and things like that. I mean, there's a great line in Car Seat Headrest song. It's not really a punk song, but it goes. It's called "Joe Got Kicked Out of School for Doing Drugs," and
sounds like
it's
a good
great
song.
And he the chorus is drugs are better with friends are better with drugs. So I think in a sense it's like critique where he can't. Either it's a critique of himself where he can't make friends without drugs, or friends are like that's just how he sees it. You know what I mean?
Or the drugs are the friends?
Yeah. Well, you can, I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder at some point.
Well, now that I say that could be pretty legitimate.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
Interpretation.
But yeah, so that's just like
interesting. That's fucking punk, dog.
I just like to freaking shoot and stab and steal or whatever, like that G.G. Allen song.
That's a good segment. I think you got it. So as we wind down this second episode of the podcast. We're going to do our 3 takeaways today. Andrew, you want to start with your takeaway from the podcast
the
today?
first part of my takeaway is that you say, let's just wind down. Like you're like beginning a meditation, which I think is really tight.
Dude, you made me yawn.
Was that directed towards me? Because we're going to fight.
No, I'm talking to JT. Wind down made me yawn. I legit, like, that was real.
Oh, you're going to make me yawn.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
No,
I
not
hate
your
this.
whole...
All right.
No.
Oh, God
Now we got to cut all of this. My takeaway...
No, we don't. This is the fun shit that people like listening
my
to.
takeaway
Am I right?
is...
Am I right?
Don't just relax, my guy. You know, sometimes you just gotta relax, and don't cover yourself with Dookie. Don't do that. That's how you get sick. Yeah, keep it fruity.
Luke, you got a takeaway from today?
Do I have a takeaway? Sure. Yeah. No matter what you study for, no matter what you go to school for or don't go to school for, you will never make as much money as the kid who used to bully you in high school.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously.
That's really fucking sad.
Yeah, right,
but that's what I got
cry.
from that. Guaranteed $60 million. Sorry.
And I guess one takeaway from today's podcast that I'll take is that why bother?
Are you taking away that takeaway?
No, yeah, sure.
You say you'll take this takeaway? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll take this one. The takeaway
Okay.
that I'm taking away today is that
So
the
dumb,
NFL season doesn't have to happen this year. It's over. It just cancel it. The Patriots
Oh my
win.
God,
Congratulations.
I'd be so much happier.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I totally
You
agree.
guys are the winners. There is no point.
Dog, I think every year we have the first game be Bears versus Packers, and if the Bears don't win against the Packers, we just give it to the Patriots anyways.
I think
so.
every
Yep.
year we should just... I'm just going to cry. Every year we just should cry. As a city, collectively, we should put Mike Brown in
The
jail.
NFL will not be good until
owner of
Tom
Cincinnati.
Brady
Yeah,
is in his
seriously,
grave.
that Terminator.
Hey.
Okay, have you seen that video? I'm sure everyone.
I didn't mean dead. I just meant until he's gone.
Or stops kissing his son on
Yeah.
the lips.
Until he's
Fair enough.
That's where he gets his energy from.
Where's the age cutoff on that for you, Andrew?
The age cutout is always don't kiss your son directly on the lips.
You would never?
No, don't. You can kiss him on the cheek and the forehead and stuff. That's fine. But like a full ugh. Just saying, man. Just saying. Yeah. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, it's odd. It's definitely odd after the age of
Yeah, dude.
3 months. I don't know, a year, whatever. It's pretty odd.
Well, this
after
has
it's
been
soft and walk.
this has been the Peaked in High School podcast. If you like this podcast, give us a follow on SoundCloud. We may have some tracks going up on a YouTube channel very soon if you prefer that. But for right now, our main page is SoundCloud. So give us a follow on there. Give us a like. Leave some comments about what we should talk about next time. But like I said, my name's JT, and I'm joined by Andrew and Luke, and this has been the podcast.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
We should have a vote in the comments to see if we want to rename the podcast just Piss.
No, seriously, I was gonna bring it up. That
PIHS. I love that shit. Piss podcast. I love it.